Way back when I was just a little bitty boy living in a box under the stairs in the corner of the basement of the house half a block down the street from Jerry's bait shop, I had a realization about the FNaF World Nuzlocke. In this challenge, if a character dies once, they are permanently dead and cannot be used for the rest of the playthrough. Most of the time, a death can jeopardize your entire chances of winning, except when one of the characters you get early on in the challenge dies. Pretty much all of them get outclassed by better versions later on, so if one dies, it isn't a huge worry. One of your starting attackers dies? Just unlock Springtrap or Nightmare Freddy for better damage. One of your starting healers die? Just unlock Spring Bonnie or Funtime Foxy for better healing. Because of this, I wanted to try and complete a FNaF World Nuzlocke with only a limited amount of available characters, so each death truly matters. In this Nuzlocke, I am now restricted to only using the first 3 rows of characters. Everyone else is banned from being used. This means I will never have access to high damaging moves like Spring Locks or Cosmic Song, alongside powerful buffs like Power or Armor Song. As always, in a FNaF World Nuzlocke, the chip and move for gift boxes are banned because they're too overpowered, I can't run away from fights once I get into one, and I have to defeat Scott at the end of the game. With only having access to half of the roster, will I be able to win the challenge? Stay tuned to find out. Enjoy the video. Before I spawn in Fazbear Hills, I need to figure out how my team will be set up. I kept everything mostly the same as how it's originally set, except I swapped out Foxy on Team 1 for Toy Chica instead. For 1, I need to heal as much as possible so characters don't die. And 2, Toy Chica has the move Birthday, which is a severely underrated move. It provides a stat increase to your attack, defense, and speed in battle, which works as a great alternative to moves we don't have access to, such as Power or Armor Song. Freddy does have this move as well, but I want Freddy to focus solely on attacking, while Toy Chica focuses on supporting. I went into Fazbear Hills, grabbed Dee Dee's Pearl for 100 coins, and headed towards the right of the map to get my first chip, Head Start Speed. I got into a battle with some Gear Rats, and for what I thought would be an easy fight turned into a harsh reality check. The Gear Rat's special attack is Toxic Bite, which applies poison damage over time. With this poison effect, alongside the Gear Rats targeting Freddy, he was getting dangerously low. I was able to keep him alive for a little while, but eventually I wasn't able to get a heal out fast enough, and Freddy died. Within my first fight, I had already lost Freddy, who is one of the best damage dealers out of the starting cast. I finished up the fight after he died, grabbed the Head Start Speed chip, and warped back to the start of the map. This death was a really unfortunate fumble, and I needed to figure out how I could prevent anyone else dying to these starting enemies. In an earlier Nuzlocke, I ended up just going for the auto shield chip in the glitch area as soon as I spawned in, which provides an incredible amount of defense. While I would like to do that here as well, the enemies are too strong and will wipe out my entire party before I reach the chip. Also, now that running away from fights is banned, I can't just cheese my way to it while only losing a few characters. For now, I was just going to use what I have access to in Fazbear Hills, such as grabbing the B-Bites in Lolbit's shop, so I can hopefully defeat the enemies before they wipe out any more members of my team. I also ended up grabbing the Pearl in Dee Dee's fishing hole 5 times, which unlocked it as a bite which passively heals my party. Although, even with increased firepower and better healing, I still didn't have a good defense, and this caused Bonnie to get scarily close to death in one of the next fights I got into. Thankfully, I ended up running into a character that would solve this problem entirely. I ran into Phantom Balloon Boy, and if I unlocked him, I would have access to the attack debuffing move Gloom Balloon. With this move, I wouldn't have to worry about my defense, as it severely lowers any enemy's attack power affected by it. Defense doesn't really matter when every enemy hits for incredibly low damage. He didn't go down without a fight though, and multiple times my characters got dangerously close to dying. I ended up panicking halfway through and swapped to Team 2 to finish the fight, but thankfully, I was able to defeat Phantom Balloon Boy without losing a single character. With Phantom BB's attack debuff, it now made the future battles in Fazbear Hills so much easier. Enemies that gave me trouble before now only did a pitiful amount of damage. Phantom BB's attack debuff was so strong that I was even able to defeat both auto chippers without any issues. Once I defeated both of them, I was rewarded with the chip's Head Start Strength, Head Start Defense, and Ever Comet Weak. Now, before we continue, I should probably admit something. This is not the first time I've attempted this challenge, or the second, or the third, or the fourth. Okay, the point is, I've lost this challenge a lot. From my experience in this challenge, I've learned that there's gonna be a massive roadblock ahead. If I make it to the deep metal mines of Blacktomb Yard, there are specific enemies there that have insta-kill moves. Because I can only use the first 3 rows of characters, my damage output will be incredibly low, and I won't be able to kill the enemies in time before they all one-shot my party. I would go and grab the block unscrew chip, but similarly to auto shield, it's found in the glitch area, and as we've discussed, I don't think that's happening. But even if I do make it out of the mines, I'll be in the Pinwheel Circus and be forced to fight Browboy to continue onward. Without auto shield, Browboy absolutely shreds through my character's health, and I will definitely game over. I would have just grinded for a character with Neon Wall instead, but all of them are found outside of the first 3 rows of characters, so I can't use them. Somehow, to make it through these 2 areas, I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get both Block Unscrew and Auto Shield to survive. Thankfully, I do have a plan in mind, but first we need to grab a few things. The first item we need to get is the chip Quick Start Party, which is located past this tree and Dusting Fields. This chip allows you to catch enemies off guard. They won't attack you in battle for a little while. I know the game describes this chip as giving you the element of surprise, but if we're being honest here, this chip just lets you jump every single enemy in the game. While going to the chip, however, I got a character encounter and ran into none other than Phantom Chica. Immediately, I became a little worried. Phantom Chica has access to the move Unscrew, and since I don't have the chip that blocks it, members of my team could be insta-killed. I tried to defeat her before she used the move, but unfortunately, I wasn't quick enough and she initiated the move on Phantom BB. I couldn't lose my only attack debuffer, so in a spur-of-the-moment decision, I swapped to Team 2, and Foxy took the Unscrew. After this, I wrapped up the fight right before she used Unscrew a second time, and walked away with 1 new character for 1 dead character. An eye for an eye. Wait, Foxy can't do that. He has only 1 eye. That means he'd be blind. I then grabbed Quick Start Party, unlocked Phantom Mangle, and set them as my new damage dealer on Team 1. After this, I had a very stupid idea.
You always have stupid ideas.
Shut up! I remembered that in Shoppy's Woods, there were some mines I could go into. I didn't know what specifically could be found in there, but I knew there were some chips I could obtain that could be helpful in future battles. So without any further thought, I went in. Is this a bad idea? Yeah. After slowly but surely defeating the enemies in the area, and I mean slowly, I reached Eyesore and fought him to grab whatever chip was behind him. The fight began, and it was pretty uneventful. Nothing really happened, honestly. It was just an easy fight. Eyesore, I'm sorry. I was not familiar with your game. I had no clue you had Unscrew. An Unscrew was coming up, and yet again the attack was initiated on Phantom BB. I still didn't want to lose him this early, so I swapped to Team 2 and Phantom Chica took the hit. I was hoping this would be the only death of the fight, but compared to Phantom Chica, Eyesore has much more health. Because of this, I wasn't able to defeat him before he did 1 last Unscrew. 1 more Team 2 swap later, and Toy Bonnie was also dead. Eyesore was defeated, and yet again we had an eye, literally, or an eye. I would have said Eyesore took 2 eyes, but Phantom Chica was already dead to me. I haven't forgiven her for unscrewing Foxy. Looking back, it was karma in the best way possible. After tweaking out in the mines after losing 2 characters to an optional boss, I grabbed the endless speed chip behind Eyesore, and went to defeat Bouncer and Dusting Fields. Honestly, I was really worried going into this fight. In a previous Nuzlocke I did, I was able to beat him without losing any characters, but just barely, and with the help of the auto shield chip. Without the shield, I could easily lose everyone to a snowball attack, which does massive damage to all my characters. Thankfully, I had a silly little plan to deal with this attack. You see, just last week, Taylor Swift went on tour again, and with the help of her private jets, emitted 113 tons of CO2 into the air in just 1 week. This event caused global warming to rise significantly, which means all the snow in Dusting Fields melted completely. Because of this, Bouncer wasn't able to throw out any snowballs during the entire fight, and I was able to win without any issue. Global warming wins again! Thank you, Taylor. Your music is still overrated. I'm gonna die tonight, aren't I? Well, now that I sense my dislikes have shot up dramatically, I now feel the need to ask you guys to please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video so far. I'm trying to reach 100,000 subscribers soon, so if you could help support the channel, I'd really appreciate it. Now, let's go ahead and go through the plan to grab both Block Unscrew and Auto Shield once and for all. Here's the deal. When we get into a fight on our way to the chip, immediately Quick Start Party will activate, and we'll jump whoever was unlucky enough to be in our way. By jumping the enemies, we get a grace period before we start getting hit. When this grace period happens, we need to spam insta-kill moves like Unscrew to hopefully kill the enemies before they do anything super dangerous. I unlocked both JJ and Withered Bonnie earlier, so they'll be perfect for the task. I was also able to get both Balloon Boy and Phantom Freddy, and I'll use the latter for spamming attack debuffs when we're going for the chips. Now, here's the one issue. what if I just get unlucky? What if my gambling odds that day are absolutely horrible, and I can't unscrew all the enemies quickly enough before they attack? Well, I do have a solution. If the enemies end up using the move alarm, we cry. We can't do anything about that, we're just gonna cry. But, if the glitch area enemies use either snowball or fourth wall, we initiate El Sacrificio. Now, what exactly is El Sacrificio? Well, basically, it's the name we give to our sacrificial character on Team 2. Before I headed into the glitch area, I put Toy Freddy as the only member on Team 2. This is because if I see a strong attack come up, I'll swap to Team 2, and Toy Freddy will take the hit. If he dies, it's not a big loss, honestly. We'll only lose one character, and it's a character that kinda sucks. Number one Toy Freddy fan, we've been over this, okay? He's trash. He's objectively the worst character in the game. Anyways, if he dies, and I'll just replace him with someone else to be El Sacrificio. With the plan ready, I headed to grab the 2 chips. Firstly, I went to get block unscrew, and I got incredibly close to the chip, but unfortunately, I got into a battle. Thankfully, with quick start party and some good unscrew luck, I was able to take care of the enemies. What I didn't expect afterwards, however, was that I got a character encounter, and it was none other than the marionette. If I didn't kill them quickly enough, my entire team could be insta-killed. Because I don't have the block unscrew chip yet, the marionette could use the move escape key, which can insta-kill multiple members of my party at once. I tried to use unscrew, but both attempts missed, and the move was coming up. I swapped to Team 2, so Toy Freddy could sacrifice himself for everyone else. I saluted him for a job well done, and then... No! I'm so sorry, Toy Freddy.
Wait, he lived! He lived! He lived!
He didn't die. Toy Freddy actually dodged the escape key, and with some good unscrew luck, I was able to win the fight without anyone dying. Maybe Toy Freddy isn't so useless after all. I grabbed the block unscrew chip, put it on, and with some great luck, I made it out right before I got another encounter. All that was left was to grab auto shield. I made my way towards the chip, and got into a battle. I tried to use unscrew, but it whiffed once, and then it whiffed again, and then... a fourth wall was coming up. Welp, you've done well, Toy Freddy. You've been wonderful at protecting the team, and now, it's time for you to rest.
Hey, I didn't hear no bell.
Oh my god! He was on one! He was on one!
Somehow, Toy Freddy survived one of the strongest attacks in the game on only 1 HP. Now, I'm gonna take a pause from the gameplay for a second to break down this whole situation, so you can truly understand how insane this moment was. Before heading into the glitch area, Toy Freddy had 215 HP, and needed 905 XP to level up. I ended up running into 4 battles in between then and now. One that gave 210 XP, one that gave 520 XP, one that gave 70 XP, and one that gave 80 XP. But here's the thing, this isn't enough XP for Toy Freddy to level up. I'm still 25 XP short. But wait a second, while in the glitch area, I also got a character encounter. These battles also can provide lots of XP, and after defeating the marionette, I got 250 XP. Because of this, Toy Freddy leveled up, which now put him at 220 HP. This small increase in health allowed him to tank the fourth wall, surviving on only 1 HP. Essentially, all because of this one super rare character encounter, Toy Freddy was able to survive the fourth wall. I was able to land an unscrew afterward, and finish the fight without anyone dying. Number one Toy Freddy fan, I'm sorry I ever doubted you. He's truly the GOAT. I'm now a Toy Freddy believer. Everything was going well after this, for about 5 seconds. Uh-oh. What? This fight will be incredibly difficult because Springtrap hits like a truck, and he's dead. Unscrew is a pretty broken move sometimes, I can't lie. By the way, I should probably clarify that I can still run into characters that I can't use and unlock them. However, I'm still banned from putting them on my team, so Peepaw Afton over here won't do anything but just rot away. Just like in real life! Anyways, after these fights, I grabbed auto shield, equipped it, ran back, and defeated the last set of enemies without any issues. I had grabbed the 2 chips necessary for this playthrough, while going through the strongest set of overworld enemies, without losing a single character. I was absolutely shocked. Because of these 2 chips, I was able to make it through the deep metal mines of Black Tomb Yard without being insta-killed, and reach the Pinwheel Circus. Next, I needed to defeat Browboy, but before the fight began, I went on the Five Nights at Freddy's wiki to see what moves he had. Just as a rule of thumb, it's important in any FNaF World Nuzlocke to research what attacks each boss has. It's super important for understanding what chips to use on each one. Initially, I found nothing super noteworthy on Browboy, until I scrolled down the page. Yeah, neither of these attacks are scary at all. I mean, like, I should be able to beat Browboy without any worry. What the f*** is fragmentation? When he's defeated, he will divide into JJ. So you're telling me, when I defeat Browboy, he undergoes mitosis, and then she transitions? Anyways, the Browboy fight wasn't super difficult thanks to auto shield. The only real scare of the fight was when Bonnie got to super low health right before the fight ended. I defeated Browboy, congratulated her on coming out of the closet, and made my way through the Pinwheel Funhouse. The next boss I have to fight is Bubba, who is found guarding the exit of the funhouse. While he does have more health than Browboy, he deals the same amount of damage, so the fight ended up being pretty uneventful. The only reason Bonnie got so low last fight was because of Browboy's balloons attack, and that's a move Bubba doesn't have. Eventually, after spamming my attacks over and over, I defeated Bubba. I went ahead and made it to Pork Patch, unlocked his switch so I can fight him whenever, and warped back to Fazbear Hills. As much as I'd like to just steamroll the last few bosses I have to fight left, I don't think I can at the moment. At this point in the challenge, the game really expects us to have characters past the first 3 rows to defeat the remaining bosses. For example, the boss I just fought, Bubba, deals 500 to 698 damage, not accounting for debuffs or defense upgrades. Pork Patch, the next boss I have to fight, deals 900 to 1098 damage, and the numbers only climb higher from there. We're supposed to have stronger characters as they deal increased damage along with having a lot more health to withstand these attacks. So how can my early game characters still be successful in these fights? To find my answer to this question, I had to turn to someone who's also had experience finding success within some troubling times. Here's a question for you all. In spite of some very minor controversies, how does someone like Jimmy, illegal lottery hosting, crypto scamming, challenge faking, Geneva Convention violating, moldy lunchly loving beast make it out on top? The answer is quite simple.
Money! Yeah! Money! I love money! Oh my god, yeah!
For the next few hours, I grinded out thousands upon thousands of Faz coins in order to buy the best upgrades for my characters. Eventually, I was able to get enough money and bought 3 key items. The first was the titanium endoskeleton, which gives a universal defense increase of 100. Secondly, I bought 2 boss drains in order to, well, you know, drain the health of bosses. Oh wow, big shocker. Finally, I went ahead and bought 2 shield bites. Some of you may not even know that these bites are in the game, because they're hidden away in a Lolbit shop in one of the optional caves. What they do is that they block base damage from all enemies' attacks, so they help increase our defenses even more. By this point, I had also gotten a ton of new characters. The first ones I found were the Paperpals, and in any other playthrough, these guys are immediately forgotten about and thrown into the trash. I mean, let's be honest here, most of you guys probably forgot they were even a character in this game. So for all the 8 Paperpals fans out there, I have good news. In this challenge, they are actually pretty useful. For 2 reasons. For one, they have the highest base health out of any character we can use, sitting at 220 health at level 1. Secondly, they are the only character within the first 3 rows with access to the move Mimic Ball. While I usually like to use the chip version of this move, just having a character with access to using it means we can double our attacks and healing whenever we want, while also freeing up a chip slot for something else instead. I shoved the Paperpals on Team 2, and along with all my upgrades, went into the fight with Pork Patch. I threw down Gloom Balloon to lower his damage, swapped to Team 2 to use the Paperpals Mimic Ball, and slowly whittled down his health. With all my new defense upgrades, I made Pork Patch's attacks look like a joke. Moves that usually deal at least 900 damage turned into 8, sometimes even 1 damage. A copper short sword would bring me more pain than his attacks right now. I eventually got the kill and grabbed the key behind him. Now, I'm just left with defeating the 3 security switch bosses, Security, and Scott himself. Honestly, with these defense upgrades, we completely steamrolled Pork Patch. I doubt any of the other bosses will give us any real trouble. Next, I went over to defeat Supergoon, one of the Switch Guardians, and started the battle. My strategy was the same as before. Use Gloom Balloon on Phantom BB to lower his attack, swap to Team 2, use Mimic Ball on Paperpals. Within the first 5 seconds of the fight, Supergoon had already killed Paperpals, the only Mimic Baller I had access to. Even though I had used Gloom Balloon, there was a large delay from when I used the move to when the debuff actually went into effect. Because of this delay, Supergoon was able to sneak one full power attack in on my best character on Team 2. Once this happened, the Gloom Balloon went into effect and the fight became a joke, but the damage had already been done. After defeating the boss, I realized that there were now 2 things I needed to accomplish. The first thing is that I need to use the chip Curse Status instead of Quick Start Party. While Quick Start Party was useful earlier in the challenge, enemies can still sneak in strong hits before they become debuffed, so Curse Status is a must. It provides an attack debuff at the start of every battle, among others, so deaths like the Paperpals won't ever happen again. Secondly, I'm going to have to go get the Auto Mimic chip. Now that my only Mimic Baller is dead, I'm forced to get it. For now though, I think I'll be fine without it. So firstly, I went to grab Curse Status. I defeated the Mad Endo guarding the chip, and put it on. I also ended up running into a few more characters, namely Phantom Marionette and Golden Freddy. The former is a pretty good damage dealer with Hot Cheese too, and the latter is good for his stunning capabilities. After this, I went to fight the last 2 Button Guardians. Honestly though, these fights weren't super difficult. Their damage still wasn't a big concern due to all the defense items I had. While they both had moves that could insta-kill my party, I could, you know, block it. Snowcone specifically is a little scarier. He has access to the move Snowball, which can deal a ton of damage to my characters, even with my defense upgrades. But after looking at how the move's damage is calculated, I learned that this move can never actually kill. The equation that calculates the amount of damage it does adds a -1 to the end of it, which prevents anyone from ever dying to the move. For example, if Toy Freddy is on 1 HP like before, and the move deals his current health, the damage it does is 0 because the -1 prevents him from dying. This means whenever I see Snowcone about to use the move, I can just swap to Team 2 to tank the hit, and move back to Team 1 without worry that any Team 2 members will die. After whittling down both their HP, I defeated both Overclock and Snowcone. Now, I was just left with defeating Security and Scott. Even with the restriction of only using characters from the first 3 rows, I still have only lost 5 of them. Honestly, I haven't even needed to use most of my new unlocks because so little characters have died. But before I went into the fight with Security though, I checked his attacks. Well, Alarm shouldn't be a big worry. I can block it entirely with Auto Shield. Let me see how much damage his basic attack does. It can't be that bad, right? It's that bad. So here's the very minute issue here. The strongest boss I've had to fight up until this point has been Supergoon. Without any debuffs, Supergoon has a base attack damage of 800 to 1398. So, you may be wondering, how much damage does Security do? Well, for a basic attack, he deals 1,998 to 3,994 damage. This is a massive difficulty spike to deal with damage-wise, and honestly, I don't know if I'll be able to withstand a single hit before dying. Even though I have tons of defense upgrades and an attack debuff, this simply seems like too much damage to prevent. At this point in the game, you're expected to have gift boxes, either the chip or the move. So when Security one-taps you, all you need to do is just use gift boxes, and you're fine. But when we don't have access to that move on any of our characters, and the chip is banned, we need to be able to tank the hits Security dishes out without dying. Even if we can survive Security's attacks while at full health, we need to immediately heal all that health back so we don't die afterwards. Because of this, before fighting Security, I went to grab the Auto Mimic chip so when I do heal using my character's moves, the output is doubled. I set up my team to adventure out into the glitch world one last time in order to grab the chip. Of course, I still needed someone on Team 2 to tank any dangerous attacks if they arise, and I knew only one character was fit for the job. I asked Toy Freddy if he'd be El Sacrificio one last time. His answer? I got one more in me. I made my way into the glitch world and moved towards the chip's location. I got into a battle with some of the enemies, and unfortunately, I ran into 4 at once. Even with my unscrews and escape keys, I couldn't insta-kill them all before a 4th wall came up. I swapped to Team 2, and Toy Freddy got ready to tank another hit.
He died?!
Toy Freddy had finally met his end. After 3 journeys protecting the team across the most dangerous area in the game, he died doing what he loved. We were able to insta-kill the enemies, get the Auto Mimic chip, and thankfully make it out of the glitch area without any further harm. To be honest, Toy Freddy had subverted my expectations in this challenge completely. I had expected the title of El Sacrificio to switch hands a lot. I didn't think Toy Freddy would even survive his first battle in the glitch area. And while he still may be the objective worst character in the game, to me, Toy Freddy is so much more than that. Toy Freddy is, and always will be, El Sacrificio. Welp, this is it. I got the auto mimic chip, and now it's time to fight security. My strategy going into this fight was pretty simple. I'll use Golden Freddy to spam Haunting to stun the boss, use Phantom BB for attack debuffing, use Toy Chica for healing, and use Phantom Mangle for damage. The goal is to stall out long enough so that Phantom Mangle and the boss trains eventually deal enough damage to win the fight. I honestly still don't know if I can withstand security's attacks, even with all the defense upgrades I have. But I have to try and do this for everyone that's died for us to make it this far. So, without further ado, let's go into the fight. The battle began, and all I could do was wait for security to attack. The deciding factor in this fight boils down to if I can tank a basic attack from him or not. If I can, I win, but if I can't, I lose. After a little while of waiting, security threw out his first attack. The truth is, security didn't defeat my characters in one hit. He massacred them in one hit. 583 damage. Even with all my defense buffs and security's attack being lowered, my characters weren't even close to tanking a hit. I tried to stun security over and over after this, but once Golden Freddy died as well, my team's fate was sealed. I had to sit back and watch as one by one, every single member of my team died in one hit. I had to watch Phantom Mangle, Golden Freddy, Phantom BB, Toy Chica, Balloon Boy, Bonnie, Phantom Marionette, and Chica all die, while there was absolutely nothing I could do about it. In less than 2 minutes, I had lost 8 of my best characters in this challenge. The death count had jumped from 6 to 14, all from one single battle. 10 characters remain. After getting a game over on the security fight, I looked at the character select screen to see who was even alive. All but one of the starting characters were dead, all the Wizards were alive, and then a few oddballs were still alive like JJ and Shadow Freddy. I looked at all the moves of the characters I had left, and noticed that this situation didn't seem as hopeless as I thought. Withered Chica could be our new healer, Phantom Freddy and Withered Freddy could both be attack debuffers, and Withered Foxy is a pretty decent attacker with hotkeys too. If all else fails, I could just use some of the unscrewers to insta-kill the last 2 bosses, though the odds of landing the move aren't likely, at about a 1% chance on bosses. I shoved them all in a team, minus Mangle and the Marionette, and went to grind in the Pinwheel Funhouse for levels. If I could just level up enough, I could boost my HP to withstand security's attacks. This process was incredibly time-consuming though, unscrewing hundreds upon hundreds of Funhouse enemies to get XP. But every time I thought of quitting and giving up, I remembered who I was doing this all for. After about 3 hours of grinding, I believed I had enough HP to withstand security's attacks. Combined with the newly acquired Endless Defense chip, I was hopeful that I could avenge all my fallen characters. Before going into the fight, I set up my team to be Withered Chica, Phantom Freddy, JJ, and Withered Foxy on Team 1, with the Insta-Killers on Team 2 along with Withered Freddy as a backup debuffer. I still have Mangle and the Marionette alive, so they'll be the replacements if anyone dies in the fight. But without any more delays, I went for round 2. When the fight began, it initially was going pretty well actually. Security didn't end up one-shotting my characters, but he was still pretty close to doing so. Thankfully, because of Withered Chica, I was able to bring my characters back to full health. I could stall out long enough and win the fight if security keeps attacking like this. But you see, security doesn't always attack like this. In fact, no enemy in the game does. When I've described the boss's attack in this game, I never give a single concrete number. I describe it as a range of numbers instead, like how security's damage is 1,998 to 3,994. The reason I bring this up is because security has been attacking for values closer to this lower number here. So, what happens if he hits for values closer to this higher number? Let's just say, it wasn't long before I figured that out. Withered Foxy, my best attacker alive, was one-shot by security, and not long after, Phantom Freddy died as well. Even with auto shield, even with endless defense, even with my shield bites, my titanium endoskeleton, my high level, my attack debuff, everything, I still couldn't prevent security from one-shotting my team. Not long after, Withered Freddy ended up dying as well. I now had no way to debuff Security's attack anymore, which means he will always one-shot my team. I was a decent way through the fight, but not nearly close enough to win before everyone died. After Phantom Foxy, Withered Freddy, Withered Chica, JJ, and Shadow Freddy all died, all that stood in Security's way was Withered Bonnie. He's now the last of the ragtag team I put together to win the challenge, and team captain of the Glitch World expeditions. My hopes for winning were absolutely non-existent at this moment. I mean, the fight's already over. But looking back, I believe that in Withered Bonnie's mind, the fight wasn't over just yet. In his mind, it's not over till it's over.
What? What? You've got to be so for real. You've got to be so for real with me right now. I did not just hit the 1 in 100 on the last possible unscrew. I did not just hit the 1 in 100 on the last possible unscrew.
Withered Bonnie had done it. He hit the 1% chance to land an unscrew on Security on his last possible attack. At the end of the day, this was just an incredibly lucky moment, but it felt as if it was more than that. To me at least, it felt almost as if Withered Bonnie landed the move in honor of El Sacrificio, who similarly hit near impossible odds before to defend Withered Bonnie and his team. This situation didn't feel real. It felt too good to be true.
No. No, I did not. I did not just do that. Why is this run alive?
Though, as cool as it was that the Nuzlocke was still alive, what can I do from here? I somehow have to defeat Scott with these 3 characters. All other 21 characters available to me have died. And, okay, look, in all honesty, I had no faith going into this last fight. I mean, I don't have any healers or attack debuffers remaining. So the only thing I can do to win is to land another unscrew and insta-kill Scott. So I started the fight, and it was not pretty. At all. If there was a speedrun for getting the fastest game over on Scott, I think I just set a world record. Withered Bonnie was targeted immediately and was soon one-shot. Because of this, my odds for winning the fight basically became non-existent, and right after, Mangle and the Marionette were subsequently fourth wall. Within 12 seconds, I lost my last 3 characters alive. And with that, Withered Bonnie, Mangle, and the Marionette all joined everyone else in the graveyard.
Wow. The graveyard sure filled up a ton since the video started, huh? It's so bleak over here. I mean, seriously, who died?
Everyone, Toby. Everyone died. As much as I would have liked to have won this Nuzlocke and give you all a happy ending, it just wasn't happening with those 3 characters, even if I grinded a ton more levels in the Funhouse. But I don't think we need to look at the big picture here. Sure, I may have lost the Nuzlocke, but I believe only focusing on that discredits everything I was able to accomplish. I think just the fact that I was able to reach Scott with only the first 3 rows of characters is an achievement in of itself. I mean, a lot of the FNaF World Nuzlockes you see on YouTube end up wiping at the security switch bosses or security, and they all had significantly better characters to choose from. I believe this Nuzlocke is a great example of why it's important to look at and appreciate all the smaller things in life, not just the big picture. Because while you may not achieve some of your life goals and aspirations, what you were able to accomplish in spite of that is pretty cool too.